2 red cards and a comfortable win for Munster. My name is Mark. Let's talk rugby. Munster with a decent start in this one. Nankerville and Daly combine well in midfield before Abrahams takes them close to the line. He really had a superb game for Munster, really lively. Felt it as well, he was making breaks and he was looking around for support for offloads and it wasn't there. So something maybe Munster can definitely improve on. But from here, they recycle the ball, but it goes forward, back for a penalty, and they decide to go to the corner. Peter Manny claims that line out and they set up the maul, but Stade do really well to kill it, and then they turn the ball over, just not allowing Munster to go anywhere, and then legally coming up the side of the maul as well and just completely killing it. Stade's clearance doesn't go that far. Munster attack off that line out, getting Nash into space on the right. He puts in a little dab in behind, but he can't regather under pressure and knocks on in goal. But still, decent early signs for Munster. Crowley then puts a chip over the top into 22. Jonas decides he has to play it. It was going to be a 50-22 anyway, and he just didn't want the possibility of the ball, I think, staying in play while there was Munster players bearing down on him. Munster then, with decent attacking position, they win a penalty shortly after that, 5 meters out. Go to the corner again. Wondering now, will this work out better than the first time they did it on the other side of the field? But Stade halt that maul again. Munster get told to use it. Casey then darts on the blind side and sends Abraham over to score in the corner. Crowley converts from out wide, 7 points to 0. Really, quick thinking from Casey there. He saw that the Stade 9 was the only guy defending out there, and just created a nice little 2-on-1 and basically made the try. Stade then have a long period in possession, but it's all in their own half. So finally they go to the boot and Henry kicks a lovely 50-22, gives him a chance to attack. Then they decide to keep it tight and Munster hold them at about 50 meters from the line before they managed to actually hold them up. Abrahams was the first man in there as well, and they managed to turn it over not just turn it over as in a scrum, they actually ripped the ball and turned it over. Munster had great success with that tactic all night as well. They went for the ball and to hold the player off his knees as well, and they got a number of turnovers. I think that was by that stage the third or fourth time they did it, and they did it plenty more after that as well. We then have a Timo check for a high tackle by Nankerville. It's shoulder to head. Looks, honestly, first viewing, looked like a red to me, but the ref decides there's mitigation because of a change in height by the ball carrier, and I think he's a very lucky boy. I thought that was definitely a red. And again, we talked about it previously in other reviews where there were yellow cards given that previously, maybe a year and a half ago or so, probably would have been a red card. I think this is another one of them. Stade then go up the line from the penalty, but Peter Manny nicks the line out. He was immense for Munster tonight as well. Munster then worked the ball wide to Daly. He puts in a chip, gets the ball first, kicks it again beyond the cover, and wins the race to the ball in goal. And a great piece of individual skill from him. It was kind of not exactly the same, but kind of similar to a try that Brian O'Driscoll scored. I think it was against Wasps. Yeah, it must have been Wasps because they were wearing yellow and black in the thing. And Jeremy, was it Jeremy Staunton? There was an Irish guy, fullback anyway. Can't remember his name, but similar thing, kicking the ball over one player, then getting to the ball first and kicking it over the next player and having the legs to get there to win it. Wasn't as tight as maybe O'Driscoll's one was, but still some decent skill from Daly there. Converted by Crowley, 14 points to 0. Munster then continued to pile on pressure as we near half time. They're on the line and they have penalty advantage. They get held up, so we come back for the penalty. They then decided they're going to tap and go. It's a bit messy. They do keep the ball alive, but eventually knock it on. Halftime is 14-0. But Munster, they managed the red or yellow card period, what should have been a red card, the yellow card period very well. I think they actually scored their second try during it as well. In the second half then, Stade managed to turn the ball over when Munster knock it on after, Munster basically scrambled from a scrappy scrum, and it was one of those ones where just error compounding error. But then Stade, they compounded as well. They just kicked the advantage away. Advantage is called over, and Abrahams claims a mark. Munster then frustrates Stade with their defence, and they're able to then clear when the error does come eventually. Pierre Romani then puts in a nice scrubber on the left. He then combines with Abrahams. I think they exchange the ball a couple of times between them. Like Omani carried twice and Abrahams carried twice in the move. And then Tanga manages to get over the ball and seems like he's won a penalty for Stade. But before that penalty is taken, we have a TMO check for one of the tackles on Peter Romani. And it's Azago Codillo with just a swinging arm to the head from behind. Referee initially on the yellow card, but then when he looks at it again, he realizes the force involved is too dangerous, which makes it a strike rather than an attempted tackle. And Luke Pearce brings out the red card. I think that was absolutely deserved. And for my money, it should have been 14 versus 14 at this stage. Munster then go to the corner from the penalty that resulted from there. Peter Romani, he claims the line out. They set up the maul, and this time they get a bit of momentum. The defence kind of splits in front of them, and Kendall comes away and over to score. The conversion then makes it 21-0, and it looks like game over at this stage. It really is just about Munster getting the bonus point try. At least that's how it felt at the time. We then have a big scuffle at the restart, and Pacenti, the other Stade second row, picks up Casey, has him, he's turned him over. If you ever seen the old WWF, or I guess now it's called WWE, right? The wrestling, where they do the pile driver and they turn them over and their heads, down around their knees, and it looked like that was he's going to do. Casey didn't land on his head or anything like that, but he did get body slammed, and it was a definite red card, and you just feel like Stade have completely lost the head at this stage. But then, honest, to give them credit, they recovered it later on in the game. But Munster then come forward. They suck in the Stade defence on the right, and then they move it, and Farrell gets to go over. Two men outside him, just not enough Stade bodies there. Bonus point in the bag, converted for 28-0. But that was really the last time that Munster, took advantage of the numbers. Really, they didn't. Afterwards, it felt like they felt like all they needed to do was get the ball to the space without actually, making Stade make the tackles, sucking in the defence the way they did there, and then creating the space. So not really well managed, I think, the rest of the game from Munster. But Stade then catch Munster on the hop, and is Perez, Blanc, and Castes. They combine well at the front of the line-out. Quick ball to Castes. He makes a dart, passes it back, and then gets it again, and from an offload and over to score. And completely Munster just caught on the hop there. Henry then lands, a really good touchline conversion for 28-7. I thought he had a decent game overall, especially for a team who were, well behind it for most of the game. Stade then looking for another try. Nice little chip over the top. Daly decides to let it bounce and almost regrets it, because Motasi, the number 9, knocks it on and over the line. But if he had held that, he was in for number 2, and then it would have been a bit of an interesting end to the game, because Munster looked like they were the team with 13 at that stage, and they basically for the last kind of 20 minutes or so, Munster just gave a masterclass and how not to play against 13 men, completely failing to exploit their numbers. Stade then catch Munster again, and it's Toraga Koke. He bursts through them all, charges for the line, but then drops it just short, and we come back for a penalty to Stade. Munster managed to contain them, and then they force a knock on. But Stade making all the play, and we actually find out then that it wasn't a knock on; it was actually ripped. So it's a scrum to Stade. Munster though win a penalty at that scrum. One part where they were making their numbers count. We then have another team out check, and it's Chapuis comes in late on Daly, catches him in the head with an arm. Probably should have been a yellow card, honestly. But I think to get a bit of a sympathy vote from referee Pierce, who says it's penalty only. I don't think he wanted them to end up with end the game with 12. Then Munster make hard work then of the fifth try. In fairness, due to stout defence from Stade, eventually they get Coombs free on the right, and he goes over to score in the corner. Crowley shanks the conversion for, I think, his first missed kick from the tee of the night. 33 points to 7 was the final score. But yeah, Stade played much the better, when they went down to 13 men, and that's something, Munster, people will say, oh yeah, they come away to win, etc. But, they could have come away with a really big scoreline and really had, some real confidence going in to next week as well. But it's a decent win for them. But let's have a look at some of the stats, and then we'll talk a little bit about each of the teams. So let me pull it up here. So first of all, 5 tries to 1 in favour of Munster. Carries then 140 to 104 for Munster. Line breaks only 5 to 4 though. Again, you see, like against 13 men, you expect Munster, to be at least double the line breaks. Turnovers lost then 7 for Munster, 14 for Stade, and a lot of that in terms of Stade was that Munster defence, which was probably along with the line out, the most impressive part of Munster's game tonight. I'd say the attack was a bit hit and miss, and Abrams actually made a lot of the line breaks from them as well. Turnovers 1 then, 8 for Munster and 3 for Stade. So Munster definitely on top there. Territory though, 41% for Munster and 59% for Stade. So Stade playing a lot of the game, especially in that second half where they had 13 men in Munster territory, albeit a lot of it kind of between the 22 and the halfway line. Next then, possession, 54% for Munster and 46% for Stade. And in terms of the actual possession, most of it, I think, was again in that area, between the two 22s, but a lot of it again in the Munster half, just over halfway. Then if we look at kind of set piece, Munster 4 scrums went to 100%, Stade 5 scrums went to 80%, and the one that they didn't get was that one where they had 7 in the scrum, and Munster won that penalty. Lineouts then, 15 for Munster, 100%. Lineout looked brilliant. Definitely, I think the Irish lineout could take some tips from them on that performance. Stade, not too bad themselves, 17 lineouts, 88%. But Peter O'Mahony was up there. He nicked a few of them on them, but also he did make even the ones that they won, a little bit scrappy, and Stade kind of found it hard to attack from the lineout because of that. Restarts then, Munster 6, 100%, and Stade 2, 100%. So no real kind of contest. Well, there was a contest, but no real contest won for the restart by the opposition. Passes then, 190 for Munster, 147 for Stade. And meters post contact, 244 for Munster, but 267 for Stade. There was kind of a bit of a mix there on that, because again, Munster did well defensively, but what they were doing was they had that tactic where they were trying to kind of surround the ball carrier and hold them up, and because of that, they were conceding meters after contact, just to be able to get players in there and turn it over. So it wasn't like, Stade were smashing holes in them or anything like that. Stade had some decent carries all the same, but I think the discrepancy between the post contact meters, a lot of it is down to Munster's tactic of deciding to target the ball and try and keep it off the ground. Then turnovers, we talked about again 8-3 in Munster's favour in terms of one. Penalties conceded then 6 for Munster, which I think if you get down that low, you got to be kind of happy, especially seeing as they got 1 yellow card, and again I think that should have been a red. And for Stade, they conceded 10 penalties, but 2 of those are red card offences, and probably the third one should have been a yellow card offence as well. On defence then, tackles made 153 for Munster to 165 for Stade. 15 tackles missed apiece, so 91% tackle completion to 92%. So both of them, decent on defence there as well. And overall, I think the stats would show that Munster the better of the two teams, but given the way Munster, the numbers Munster had in those last 20 minutes, maybe they should have been skewed a bit more in their favour. So let's talk about the team. So Munster looked better when it was 15 versus 15, and during the Nankinville yellow card where they were 14 versus 15 as well, as opposed to the big contrast when they were 15 versus 13. They didn't seem to know how to exploit that. They weren't looking to tie Stade in and then create the space where they could exploit the numbers out wide. They were trying to go wide a bit too early, trying to make the break and then kind of use their numbers rather than making Stade tackle, commit players to the ruck, and then looking for where the space came naturally. But it's a bonus point win. No points for Stade as well, and they definitely would have taken that before the game. The line-out went well for them. Defence was pretty solid too, but I think they'll be disappointed with the finish to the game, especially the fact that they were caught out a few times as well. Conceded 1 try and could have conceded another couple as well on top of that. But starting at home with a bonus point victory, they didn't do that last season of this competition, so they were already on a better footing than they were back then. So got to be pleased with that, but they now have to build on it in the rest of the games as well. Stade didn't get much change from the Munster defence when they looked to run it. Well worked for their try, though, and really stepped it up when they went down to 13. Showed some real pride. When heads could easily have gone down, they could have shipped a really big score. Great impact from the bench as well. A lot of young lads coming on, and in that last 20 minutes or so, really kind of contributing to the cause as well. But now they're going to have to target a win next week, I think, to have a realistic chance of progressing. Okay, so that is the end of that one. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.